Okay, let's see how we can solve this problem. Evaluate the following without using tables. Okay, now let's take the first one. Log 64 to base 2. Okay, before we solve this, we have to rewrite this number in index form so that the base will be the same as the base of the log. Okay, you know that 2 to the power 6 is the same as 64, so we can now rewrite it as log 2 to the power 6 base 2. So over here we are going to use the power law, which states that if we have a log of a number to a particular power, the power will now come here as a multiplier, so that we now have 6 log 2 to base 2. Okay, and we know that the log of a number to its own base is equal to 1. Okay, so that log 2 to base 2 will be 1. So over here, everything here is now equal to 1. We now have 6 times 1 is equal to 6. Okay, so that is the answer. Okay, let's take the second one, which is log 0.25 to base 16. Now we are going to rewrite this to be in log 1 all over 4 to base 16, because 1 all over 4 is the same as 0.25. Okay, now the next thing we are going to do is to rewrite these two numbers to appear in the same base. Okay, so we're going to have log 4 to the power minus 1 to the base 4 to the power 2. Okay, now we are going to apply the power law over here so that minus 1 will come over here and multiply. So we have minus 1, okay, times, now the power of this base will also come over here, but as a reciprocal, so that it will now be 1 all over 2. Then we now have log 4 to base 4. Okay, now remember that log of a number to its own base is equal to 1, so that here will now be 1. We now have 1 minus 1 times 1 all over 2 times 1. Okay, everything will now give us minus 1 all over 2. Okay, now the third one we have here is log 8 to the base 0.25. Okay, now we are going to also rewrite this thing as a fraction, so that we now have log 8 to base 1 all over 4. Remember that 1 all over 4 is same as 0.25. Okay, now we are going to rewrite these two numbers also to appear in the same base. Okay, so that we now have log 2 to the power 3 to base 2 to the power negative 2. Okay, now how I got this is, you know that if I have 1 all over 4, this is the same as saying 1 all over 2 to the power 2. Now, remember the law of indices, this thing can now turn to be 2 to the power minus 2. Okay, so that is how I got that. Now, the next thing we will now do is to now do the same thing we did here, so that this power will come over here as a multiplier. We now have 3 times, and also the power of the base will also come here in a reciprocal form, so that it now become times into brackets minus 1 all over 2. Okay, we now have log 2 to base 2, and log 2 to base 2 will give us 1, so that we now have, this is minus, that is minus here. Okay, so that we now have 3 times minus 1 all over 2 will now give us minus 3 all over 2. Okay, now we can rewrite this as 1 whole 1 all over 2 is a negative number. Okay, let's take the fourth one. We have log 125 to base 5 all divided by log 256 to base 4. Okay, now we are going to rewrite this number in index form so that the base will be the same as base 5, okay, which is log 5 to the power 3 base 5. Then we now have all over. Okay, we are going to do the same thing here. We are going to rewrite 256 in index form so that the base will be 4. Now we have log 4 raised to power 4 to base 4. Okay, now we are going to apply power law over here so that we now have 3 log 5 to base 5 all over 4 log 4 to base 4. Okay, now log 5 to base 5 is 1. Then log 4 to base 4 is 1. So at the end of the day, this will become 1. 3 times 1 all over 4 times 1. We now have 3 all over 4. Okay. Okay, over here, we are going to have log 30 all over 16 to base 10. These two will come here as a power, so that we now have minus log 5 all over 9 to the power 2 plus log 400 all over 243. Okay, this is base 10, base 10. Now, here we are going to have log 30 all over 16. Then this will change to division. Then we have here 5 to the power 2 is 25. All over 9 to the power 2 will be 81. Then this will change to multiplication. We now have multiplied by 400 all over 243. Okay, now we're going to have log 30 all over 16. We change this thing to multiplication. It will now be times 81 will go up, then 25 will come down, then times 400 all over 243. Okay, so here we can now cancel. 25 here is 1, 25 in 400 is 16. Okay, now 81 here is 1, 81 here is 3. Okay, now 16 here is 1, 16 here is 1. Now we have 3 here, 3 here is 1, 3 here is 10. So that we now have log 10 to base 10. And remember that log 10 to base 10 is equal to 1. Okay? Okay, let's take the next one, which is log 8 all over log 12 minus log 3. Okay, now here we are going to write it as log 8 divided by in brackets log 12 minus log 3. Okay, now we have log 8 divided by, over here we are going to apply the law of logarithm here, so that we will now have into bracket log 12, because of this subtraction sign, to now be divided by 3. Okay, so that we now have here log 8 divided by log, here will give us 4, log 4. Okay, now we are going to rewrite this 8 in index form and also this one in index form so that the two of them will have the same base. Okay, we now have log 2 to the power 3 divided by log 2 to the power 2. Okay, now we are going to apply the power law here so that we now have 3 log 2 divided by 2 log 2. Okay, now this is going to be 3 log 2 divided by 2 log 2. This will now cancel for us to have 3 all over 2, which is now 1 whole 1 all over 2. Okay, the next one we have is, okay, try and see if you can solve this. Thank you.